Did you see this tweet from Tucker Carlson that is making waves online?
No, I haven't. Tell me about it. I'll find it.
Oh, okay. I can even read it if you like.
Please.
Okay, so Tucker posted this on Saturday on X. He said, quote, Fox News is wall-to-wall with dead-eyed politicians telling you that Iran is a dangerous, quote, sponsor of terror, softening up the base for a war. But what exactly does that phrase mean, and how does it apply to the United States? Here's one measure. Over the past 20 years, how many Americans have been killed by Iran on American soil? Try to find that number and then compare it to the number of Americans killed by drug ODs or suicide or illegal aliens or carjackings, diabetes, and the COVID vax. Still think Iran is the greatest threat? How about we focus on our own country for a minute?
Okay, give me some thoughts. Allow me to rest. Allow me to bathe in your wisdom. No homo.
Well, so it was a controversial tweet. I feel like it's the first time that Tucker has gone after Fox News. Maybe that's overstating it to say he went after Fox News, but it's the first time he's kind of said something critical of Fox News to my knowledge. I assume that he has signed an NDA with them. I assume that he has signed a non-disparagement clause. I mean, almost definitely he did, probably at the time of being hired. I think he makes a fair point, and I don't watch Fox News too often except for when you play the clips on your show, but I'm willing to assume that they're doing that.
Right, but I don't think Fox News is what's most important here. What's most important is a clear-eyed perspective on American interests, and what I think and what I feel are quite different here. I have enormous emotional attachment to Israel and to Zionism, and my head tells me that Tucker is right. I don't think it's in America's interest to be in conflict with Iran. My heart wants America to obliterate the mullahs. My heart wants America to drop a bunch of bombs on Iran and just really F it up, right? Just bomb the Jesus out of Iran and just remove the mullahs and have regime change and have a pro-Western regime in Iran. But even if 80% of the people in Iran hate the Islamic regime, right, they're a bunch of losers if they haven't been able to effectively do anything about it. And so if a committed 20% of the country can rule, then they're obviously more invested and more effective than the 80% who supposedly hate them. So I emotionally would love regime change in Iran. I emotionally would love the obliteration of the mullahs who run Iran. My mind tells me that this is not aligned with America's best interests. Tucker is right. Back to you.
I mean, the proposition is crazy to get in there and try to do regime change in Iran, even to try to meddle in some kind of CIA way. I don't think Trump is going that way either, because I heard that Trump wrote a letter to Iran, kind of looking for some negotiation vis-a-vis the nukes. But no, I think it is interesting about Fox News as well. To me, it's a question about media as well, because Fox News does good reporting. I'm not against Fox News, but I feel like they kind of take a certain populist energy and then they shoehorn certain issues that are not popular with the base, or if they are popular, basically it's because they're just repeating what they saw on Fox News.
Right. So Fox News is owned by the Murdochs. It's lowbrow. It's has a component of populism. Fox News actually isn't that important. Fox News is successful only to the extent that it gives its audience what it wants. But Fox News will often differ from what its audience wants and instead deliver what the Murdoch family wants. So, for example, when George W. Bush wanted to pass immigration amnesty, Fox would turn off discussion about the dangers of immigration amnesty, the dangers of illegal immigration. It would just tamp that down, because the Murdochs are pretty globalist and pro-immigrant. Murdochs are generally in favor of a more interventionist foreign policy. Rupert Murdoch essentially made a deal with neocons by funding the Weekly Standard that they would support him. He bought off an influential part of the Jewish community so that Murdoch's media operations could thrive in the United States. So Fox will usually give the audience what it wants, but it will intervene at times in alignment with the Murdoch family's interests. And you see this in particular with Fox's coverage of Israel. And what has stood out to me about Fox's coverage of Israel since October 7, 2023, is how one-sided it's been. And it's been nothing but pro-Israel. Nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely 100% pro-Israel. Raise money for Israel. Protect Israel. Our hearts with Israel. Everything for Israel. Just incredibly one-sided. Do you have any thoughts? Yeah.
You're right. It's literally the worst coverage of the Israel-Palestine conflict you can get. And to be clear, I'm not anti-Israel. I'm kind of just like neutral on it. And I would say the best coverage on that I heard was probably on NPR. And I think that's why one of their producers kind of went rogue and started saying that they're off the reservation. But NPR did a lot of in-depth reporting, like, oh, here's a Palestinian, here's what they have to say. They're probably pro-Palestinian on NPR, but it is true that conservative media on certain subjects provides the most one-sided. You're going to be the least informed. And I don't want to make it about Fox News necessarily, because it's just across the board. It's Fox News, it's all the conservative websites. During that time after October 7th, conservative media was against free speech. That was their position. Like, they literally were editorials about, canceling people on campuses, and they said, actually, yeah, we're for that. It was quite the about face. So I think that's what Tucker's talking about.
I want to challenge that. So to me, if your protest is illegal, meaning if you are occupying buildings, you're occupying spaces on campus, and you're denying access to Jews or to Zionists, that I am all in favor of a law enforcement attitude. So there's absolutely no free speech issue to me with regard to the illegal occupation of land on campus. So if anti-Israel protesters or pro-Israel protesters are doing illegal things in their demonstrations, to me, that's not a free speech issue. You arrest them, you charge them. So I don't recall what you're just saying there. Now let's say someone is a professor or a student and they're saying anti-Israel things. So creating a website where you list the most provocative anti-Israel things that a person has said, and you publicize that to try to damage that person's career. If someone's making remarks in public, I have no argument with that promotion of their most incendiary remarks. If you are funding, say, trucks that go around with billboards that host the most incendiary anti-Israel comments that people have made in public, to me, that's not an anti-free speech issue. So where is I'm not closed to what you're saying, but help me understand, where is the free speech issue with regard to anti-Israel sentiments?
Well, first of all, I don't think Tucker is anti-Israel either. I think he's kind of neutral as well. He's a critic of the media and the way the media covers it. So it's more like a meta issue than debating the issue itself.
And but you said that the right and conservatives were in favor of restricting speech. The things they said about anti-Israel protests went against free speech principles. So could you just back that up a little more?
Well, I mean, to use a different phrase rather than free speech, because then you get very technical and legalistic. They were basically in favor of cancel culture. So they were in favor of canceling people. And based
Yes.
on, yeah.
Yes.
So that I found a little rich. But again, even to make a broader point, I think what Tucker is saying and what he's seeing is that, like, Tucker was a part of Fox News. Tucker was a part of other news organizations, and those organizations, to use another issue like the Russia conflict, Russia Ukraine. Tucker has always been like very skeptical of the warmongering in that regard too. Just to broaden it out a little bit, and so Trump has always been on that line as well. Trump has been conciliatory towards Russia since the beginning. And so conservative media, since Trump is elected, has obviously been pro-Trump, but they've also been kind of hawkish against Russia. And how do you square that circle? Well, what they've done is they've said, hey, we're not pro-Russia. Look, Trump is actually more tough on Russia than the Democrats, than Biden. So that's like a very disingenuous way to attack that issue. Now it's changing a little bit because now there's like permission to be against that war. But for a long time, when you looked at conservative media, they were just as much, if not more, antagonistic towards Russia as the mainstream media. And their line was, well, actually, we're being tougher on Russia. So it's just dishonest, and they just lose the script when they do that. So.
Okay, so many things to say there. Really appreciate your comments. Number one, overall, right-wing media is not impressive, right? They have their moments. They're good at certain things, but there's nothing in the right-wing media that does as much work of value as the Financial Times, New York Times, the news section of the Wall Street Journal. The elite media consistently provide more value than the right-wing media, with exceptions. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And on my channel a lot, I'll say, well, according to CNN, and then I'll give some information, or according to the New York Times, and people will be in the comments like, oh, fake news? Like, you're talking about fake news?